Okay. All right. So thank you guys for joining, and I apologize for running a little late. But Eldon, as I instructed earlier, he's already started the process, and we start talking about this particular diagram of how wire is made. I'm not sure like how like you guys talked about the introduction so far. I think you're looking if you
like
can quickly summarize.
The normal average introductions that students write, right?
Okay. The picture shows the process of making wire. The process consists of 9 steps, starting with mixing coking coal, and iron ore in a blast furnace, and ending with producing coils or coiling the wire. Okay. Yeah, all right. So is that more like an intro plus the overview? What is it for you?
Yeah. So in maths and in processes, usually we combine the introduction and overview.
Okay, so this is in your version. This is your version of the Toshmat style.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yes.
But, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't really make any grammar or vocabulary mistakes here, but yeah.
But this is what like normal Band 7 candidates do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you can continue. So that's the introduction so far.
What I was saying was like this is okay. It's not a problem, right? So you can easily get 7 with this, but you will get a slightly lower score for your task response here because the problem here is you're basically skipping over the most important parts, right? So you're just saying starting with this and ending with that. So you will get a reduced score in your task response, and so you're not really in your introduction and in your overview, you're not really showing the examiner that you understand the diagram, right? So there is a better version that will get you a higher score in task response, but in order to do that, you need to look at the diagram in much more depth, right? In much more detail and analyze it. So we were starting to analyze here. So as you can see, there are 3 furnaces here, and the first furnace, it's called a blast furnace. As you can see, it's heated with gas or something. And the second and third furnaces, they are electric furnaces, and it's called arc furnace. So if any of the guys are familiar with the word arc, it basically means electricity. And you know this from this. If you pay closer attention, you will notice this electricity sign here also, like that lightning sign. So and it exists in both the second and the third furnaces, so they are both electrically heated or electrically charged, I think is what is said. So now and then in these 3 furnaces, what happens is they produce liquid metal, and then this liquid metal is then used to produce wire. Now, based on that, instead of saying 9 steps here, we can actually say 2 stages, right? So the first stage would be taking these raw materials and turning them into liquid metal. And then in the second stage, you take this liquid metal and turn it into a wire. And when you say that in your overall, the examiner will see that you actually put time into understanding the diagram, and you know what you're writing about, and it makes it, and it also makes it easier to paragraph your body parts, to divide your body parts.
If I can quickly jump in here, That's first of all, I think we need to explain the difference between steps and stages, because a lot of books or a lot of instructors usually use these two terms interchangeably. What we have, what an average student does is to look at and count the number of steps, and it's like it's a lazy way of putting it. So there are 9 steps because we can already see the number 9 as the final step, right? But stages are more general, I think, and more broad, and they consist of various steps, and you can logically divide the process into stages. Usually there are, I think, up to 3 stages, maybe sometimes 4, but normally from 2 to 4 stages, I think. In our case, it depends on the process itself, but in our case, I think we kind of saw 2 stages here.
Yeah.
Well, the first one was what did you call the first one? Removing gas, or what was it?
So the first one is basically producing liquid metal out of these raw materials, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the second would be taking that liquid metal and turning it into a wire.
So maybe production of liquid metal and then production of wire, actual wire. I don't know, because we need to have something that we can use, like a brief, but at the same time, solid stage names, right?
Well, let me look at this prepared version here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, all right. So that was your introduction and the conclusion, right? I'm sorry, overview.
Yeah.
Wire making is a complex process that involves the use of several special pieces of equipment. And 4, but it's just the students. You need to get used to writing out the words, but not using the actual digits with numbers from 1 to 10. So it's important that you use 4 as a word. 4 types of raw materials. 4 types of raw materials. The whole process is comprised of 2 main stages: producing liquid metal and shaping it into wire. I like it. It's very great, short and to the point. Another thing that I want to point out is the usage of comprise. There are 2 basically structures that you can use comprise. Sometimes it's used in active voice. The process comprises 2 main stages. Sometimes it's you can use the passive voice. The process is comprised, and when you use the passive structure, then you need to use the preposition of, which was done in this model introduction. So it's important to know the difference, but there is no. I don't believe there is a change in the meaning though. So it's just up to you. If you want to use comprise in active voice, make sure to drop off. So it would just be like the whole process comprises 2 main stages. Is comprised of? It sounds more academic, I think, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. The whole process is comprised of 2 main stages: producing liquid metal and shaping it into a wire. I really like it. This is more like a Band 8 intro plus the overview. So,
yeah,
all right.
What's good about this version as opposed to this just naming the starting and the ending, right?
Yeah.
What's good about this is when you do this, you're basically dividing your body into paragraphs, right? So I'm going to use one paragraph I'm going to write one paragraph about this and one paragraph about this.
Can you also show the diagram and show us the exact steps that they're going into first body paragraph?
Yeah. So first body paragraph would be 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Correct. So, and then as you can see, we have liquid metal coming out of step 4. So as soon as we have the liquid metal, then we can start including the other whatever remaining steps in the next body paragraph, right? Numbers step 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah. Yeah, and one kind of tiny detail to mention here is sometimes you have this key in processes, and make sure to make use of it. I see a lot of students when in my classes they don't pay attention to it. They don't use the words, and that's not okay.
Okay, so we have liquid metal and pipes. Or we could have also, for some students might have used these for the overview and say use of liquid metal, use of pipes and use of liquid metal. I don't know, maybe. Because in the something in the first part or in the first stage, the diagram mostly uses, the process mostly uses pipes, right? This is up to step 5 now.
Yeah.
And then right after step 5, we mostly now use liquid metal instead.
Yeah.
That's not really comparable, these two things, but that's one way to go about it. Like if you're really stuck, you can also take advantage of the key, and that could be one way of grouping data.
Yeah. And yes. So here, when you really look at it closely at this diagram, it's logical that you have 2 stages. But I just want to mention really quickly here that sometimes you get these processes that are not really clearly divided into stages, right?
Correct.
So most students, they kind of get shocked. But what you need to remember is, as long as you can, you're paragraphing and you're dividing into stages, as long as it makes sense, and as long as you can show in your body paragraphs that it makes sense, that's okay. You don't have to be very accurate, extremely like scientific level accuracy is not required. So
correct.
Just explain how it makes sense, why you divided it that way. Okay.
As long as you can justify, right?
Justify it, yes.
Yeah, as long as you can justify it, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So once you have your introduction and the overview ready, you can start thinking about writing the first detailed paragraph. Again, in our case, the first detailed paragraph is going to cover steps from 1 to 4. And then, everything is very straightforward. We have the sequencing language that we need to watch out for. We need to show the examiner. We should also be using some passive voice, like more often than other types of Task 1 reports, right? Also use some specific language, so to speak. Talk about purposes of each, not each step, but certain steps. Okay, so that's that. Like, I just need to make a comment that like process is both the easiest and the most challenging question type for IELTS candidates. I say the easiest because that's very easy to get, like to get a band 7, for an average candidate. Even if it's like someone who would struggle to get a 7 in other types of graphs, with process and map, they can really shine and get those 7s. But it's at the same time, it can be challenging for higher level candidates because it's really, really hard to outdo yourself, and as opposed to other like graphs, bar chart or line graph, it's really hard to stand out from the crowd. So it's likely that like experts, at our level, me and Eudor's level, we might be stuck at 7.5 because it's really hard to stand out. And other candidates might easily reach 7.5 because it's actually really easy, because you're not really analyzing, you're really analyzing, but you're not you don't have to really offer this selection of key features, right? Like everything here, it should be included in your reports. Every single step should be included. So from that perspective, it's easier for an average candidate to get a 7. So that's good news. But if you're like an expert or IELTS instructor who's, trying to get an 8, when you get a process report, this is where you get, most challenged, and it's really hard to break that 8 score.
First of all, I would say like one of the reasons why it's difficult to get this high level, 8+ level, is like you don't know what kind of process it's going to be. Maybe it's going to be something that you're really not familiar with. You don't know anything about it. Like if you get a line graph or bar chart, it doesn't matter what the topic is. You just say it increased, decreased, and that's it, right? So, but here, if you don't know what's going on in the diagram, it's going to be really, really hard. And plus, the language, the specific topic-related language here is going to be different every single time, depending on what kind of process you get, right? But in other types of task 1, it's going to be the same, right? So
but the good news is if you're aiming for 7, then it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the first detail paragraph then.
All right, so what I wrote...
You already have something?
Yeah.
So you start with liquid metal, yeah?
So I said producing liquid metal, so I'm kind of referring back to
if you can highlight that, maybe color codes, like, I don't know.
All right, okay, so...
This is your first, detailed paragraph. And this, exactly. It kind of shows the examiner,
Yeah. So for the next one, we're gonna use this. All right. So,
All right. So liquid metal is produced in 3 steps.
Requiring.
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
3 furnaces connected through pipes. So, so I have 3 furnaces here. They're all connected through pipes, and that's what I'm talking about here. So
this is more like a topic sentence, right?
Yeah, topic sentence here. In the first step, coking coal and iron ore are melted in a blast furnace. So I'm you may notice that I'm basically skipping this part where you just mix it. Yes. So I'm just saying you just put it into the blast furnace. So because I think what's good about this, another good thing about going this way as opposed to this way, is here you have to mention each step. If you say 9 steps, you have to have 9 steps in your body paragraph. And here we say like 2 main stages, and then like we can sometimes skip the not very important, or combine, maybe not skip, but combine 1 or 2 stages. And that's what I'm doing here. In the first step, coking coal and iron ore are melted in a blast furnace, which is heated from underneath at 1,300 degrees centigrade.
Okay. So, how many words do you have here? Can you count, quickly show the word count for this sentence?
So
24. Okay. The rule of thumb for me was 25 words, right, per sentence. So that's good. I was gonna add. I think in my response, I added something like coking coal and iron ore, and then with comma, I put something like the initial raw materials. It's just to boost your vocabulary, or because raw material is very topic specific for process. If you could kind of insert that, but in our case, and then it would be too long, right? So it's okay, but that's one way.
I mentioned raw materials here. So,
okay.
Then So the sequencing
Then
language.
is a sequencing language, yeah. So we have in the first step, if you can highlight them as well somehow, maybe something different, like at least in italics. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm gonna say
Just in italics, yeah.
or maybe highlighting is better.
Okay, maybe okay. So then the resulting substance moves through the tube to the arc furnace, which is heated electrically. So that's also very good to point out that you understood that this was heated electrically.
Yeah.
To 1800 degrees centigrade.
Yeah, and one thing to mention here, I'm saying here the resulting substance, right? So it's usually a good idea to use this participle 1 or participle 2 to refer back to previous stages, right? Yeah. So, for example, if you melt something in one stage, when you melt a metal in one stage, in the next stage you can say the melted metal, right? That way,
and it improves your CC, coherence and cohesion. Yeah. It's called referencing.
Yeah. And so this is the resulting substance here is referring back to this first stage, which kind of makes it easier for the reader to understand and improves my coherence and cohesion. So the resulting substance moves through the tube to the arc furnace, which is heated electrically 200 degrees there. So I'm still at this stage.
Yeah.
There. Reduced coal is added. Which serves as a catalyst to the chemical. Because here, this kind of a little bit chemistry kind of language, right? So catalyst in chemistry is something that causes a reaction.
Correct. Okay.
So what happens? So this also shows that I understand. So you have this. You're combining these things, and you're adding reduced coal. That logically means that reduced coal helps to combine, right? So that's what I'm referring to here. The chemical merging of coal and iron. Once combined.
That's also a very nice structure.
Yeah. So this is again kind of a
sequencing language.
Sequencing language that shows that I'm going to talk about what happens after this, right? Once combined, the resulting. So this is repetition, which is not good. The resulting substance.
How can we change this? How can we rephrase it? Maybe it. The mixture, maybe the mixture. I don't know.
Okay, the mix. Okay, the mixture. We can say it's a mixture. So instead of resulting, we can one thing. So I'm gonna put it in parentheses here. The resultant. We can also use this word, but it is I think too similar to resulting. So the mixture flows to the next electrical furnace where lime is added, which causes the gases to be released via two pipes connected to the top of the furnace. So I have they are adding a lime. So again, I'm thinking logically here. So okay, they are trying to remove gas, so they are adding lime. So that should mean.
So this is cause and effect relationship. So you first add lime, and then it causes to remove gas, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that, and I'm saying they add lime, and it causes the gases to be released, right, via two pipes connected to the top of the furnace. Finally.
Okay, so I see a lot of which here. Can we somehow use a reduced relative clause here?
Causing?
Maybe I don't know.
So I'm going to say causing.
It could even be maybe like releasing gas. Releasing the gas via two types. No?
I don't think
cause is more specific, yeah, you mean?
Yeah. releasing. So it's kind of indirect, right? It's not directly releasing. So
yeah, but it also still the structure, this structure, verb ing structure right after comma also shows cause. But I understand that's okay. And then if you can like change to the words, I don't know, from number to the word.
Yeah.
Two types
So
connected to top of the furnace. No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Finally, the maybe resulting liquid metal. So do we want to use a definitive article here, the resulting liquid metal, or?
Yeah. The resulting liquid metal,
which is now.
So I'm kind of trying to refer forward, right? Not to refer back.
Yeah.
Which is now ready to be shaped.
Yeah. So you're just kind of linking. Trying to link forward to for the next paragraph.
Preparing the reader to what's coming, right?
Close to the pipe vat. Okay. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Here, this is a little bit short here because
that's fine. That's fine.
We could this part we could make it actually longer, but I already have like more than 200 words, so. And plus, I wrote it in Write and Improve with a timer on, so I was in a hurry. The shaping process starts when the liquid metal is poured into 2 levels of molds that turn it into wire. So we can see that here you have this mold which is turning it into a wire, and then from that it's going to another mold, which is, I think it's to make it. I think what I'm thinking here is the reason for 2 molds is like they cannot immediately make it really thin, so first they turn it into a thicker wire, and then they thin it out in the next mold. So, but I didn't mention that. I could have, but I didn't because I was hurrying to finish. Pour it into 2 levels of molds that turn it into wire. Next, so I'm gonna say this is again sequencing. So, and then next, the wire is further pressed and shaped. Further pressed and shaped. So I'm saying further because they are already shaping it here in the molds, because the function of a mold is to give a shape. So, and then here again they are pressing and shaping. So that's why I'm saying further pressed and shaped, followed by a process of cooling to 150 degrees. And lastly, the metal is wound on a wire reel and is ready to be used.
So can you explain what wire reel is?
Yeah. So
also the word wound.
Yeah. So I think here we could say coil, right?
Which is borrowing the word, which makes it maybe easier for an examiner to understand.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest here. I added this wire reel later because when I was writing it, I didn't know what this thing was, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So in the original version, it was like then it is coil. I just said coil, and then I was kind of curious about this, and I did some digging on the internet and found out that the word is actually a reel, right? So this basically this thing is, so if I open this, so wire reel, right? So this thing, right?
So in Uzbek it would be something like haltak.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing I would add to make it maybe slightly longer, or also to show the examiner that you're oops, okay. So to show the examiner that's I don't know why there's an echo all of a sudden. To show the examiner that you know this, again, some more specific language is to add the phrase conveyor belt. So because we can see the participation of conveyor belt in the second stage, right? So that's the main thing. Like in the first stage, we had pipes. It was through pipes. The second stage involves the conveyor belt, or makes use of. Okay. So that way. Molding.
Molds.
Okay. Sure.
I'm saying some, not two, because I think this one is also kind of a mold, or maybe, or should I say just two molds, maybe?
Yeah, two makes it more maybe specific. Yeah, so something like that, or you could have added conveyor belt somewhere in the middle. Doesn't really matter, as long as you show the examiner you know the language. So that's good.
Yeah, I think this is good, because it's also, without this paragraph did not have a kind of a topic sentence, right? So I can use it, and it will look like the first paragraph where I said that there were 3 furnaces connected through pipes, and here I'm saying a conveyor belt and 2 molds, and this makes it much better. I think I like it much better now here, and so I'm gonna
Okay, that's good. Lastly is our final sequencing work. Yes. All right. That's about it. That's supposed to be a Bent 8 process report. We're going to try one more process together. This is directly from your Write and Improve platform. This was supposed to be your final task, I think, right? If you can send it to the group, Ildar, quickly, the task itself. I will go ahead and...
Should I stop the video, or...
You can stop screen sharing, and then I would just share my screen.
Yeah, I can stop screen sharing, stop sharing. Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll just start sharing my screen, and then we'll try another task. If you can just send that thing.
So from the one in Write and Improve, right?
Yeah, the last task, yeah. All right, oopsie doopsie. So you can see my screen now. Okay. So, and then you can also send me your model answers. I can just include it here.
I don't have model answers.
Oh, the one that you just prepared. No, for this one, for wire making.
Yeah, so I'm gonna send it to the group also. Yeah.
Okay, so this is our task. Does it look more complicated than the wire making, or do you think it's easier? Because I haven't really had time to look at this task, to be honest. This one is really great. Let me see. All right, so that's it.
I think it's like, in terms of like the writing, it would not be that difficult, I think, but dividing it into stages would be kind of slightly problematic, because the first 2 stages have to be separate, right? But it's just very, very small.
How an artist uses plastic waste to make GQ sculptures. So first of all, what is GQ sculpture?
Garbage cube.
Okay.
Like this is, I think, what's it
Oh,
called?
okay,
Like
so it's given garbage cube sculptures.
I think this is like what they call installations, right? Kind of modern art.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So maybe you want to say, what is garbage cube? What is garbage cube? Okay. Garbage cube art, maybe? It's interesting. All right. So it's, again, this is something new for me. This whole concept. So how an art uses plastic waste to make G-cube sculptures. So first of all, we have the artist collecting trash, right? From the seaside, I expect. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you want to be that specific. And then he drives this to a studio, right? He uses his own truck, maybe, I don't know, to deliver this to a studio where he uses a crusher. What else do you see? Like, so you're basically just crushing.
Yeah.
You're just crushing the waste. But what is this thing? That we have electricity somehow, right? Again.
This is like just the crusher. This machine is powered by electricity, so I think that's like the battery or something.
And there is an arrow somehow pointing to that electricity sign, or maybe it's pulled down. I don't know, right? So we have crushing. We have what other stages do we see here? Crushing, compressing in a cube, molding, right? 50 to 50 centimeter boxes, I don't know, or molds, and then heating the liquid resin. How do you pronounce this word?
Resin.
Resin. And then we have, then what is it? So you're adding this liquid resin, right, into the mold.
Yeah.
And then you're cooling it for 24 hours, just taking out the blocks. And that's it. And then sending them to art gallery, right?
Yeah.
And then like for viewing. Yeah, that's a sculpture. Oh, so you're making it into a sculpture. Okay, so this step 9 is making it into a sculpture.
Yeah, I'm thinking like I'm thinking of saying something like arrange them in different formations to make sculptures.
Mm-hmm. Correct. So that it could be viewed they could be viewed in art galleries, right?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, this is probably like harder to group, I would say.
Yeah. The writing itself will not be that difficult, but grouping is a problem, because the first problem while you're grouping is the first two steps are clearly separate from everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is...
It takes place outside the studio, right? It takes place outside the studio. And everything else is in the studio except
viewing, yeah?
Except the viewing, yeah.
And then the problem is that those two states are separate, but I don't think you can really put them in a separate paragraph, or can we? Like, it's just you're collecting and delivering to your studio. And then
So just one sentence, right? Like
it would
maybe
be one
two.
sentence.
Maybe two at most. And yeah, having it as a separate paragraph doesn't really justify. Blah, 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 blah. So we got studio crushing, compressing, molding. Crushing, compressing, molding. So that's all we have, right? Crushing, compressing, molding.
Yeah.
And then
And
maybe with right after cooling, we have blocks and making it into a sculpture.
Yeah. And you also have the measurements of the blocks here, 50 to 50 centimeters. We can also like it's a cube, right? 50 to 50.
Yeah, it's like how do you usually use these measurements? How do you say that in English? Like 50 to 50 centimeter cubes or 50 centimeter cube? It's a 50 centimeter cube.
So the correct way would be 50 by 50.
Yeah, 50 by 50 cubes. Okay, yeah. 50 centimeter by 50 centimeters, right? Cubes.
Yeah, cubes of.
And then you got the box. The compressor is also the same size, and then you get the molds the same size, right? We can see that these measurements are given twice, I think, like which need to be probably repeated and emphasized.
And I think I'm not sure here. I would think twice before adding this information, but I think the reason why the artist adds liquid resin is to hold the garbage together, you know, because it should stay like stuck, right? Because
it's going it's going inside the box. You mean?
Yeah. Because if you think about it, you get like different types of trash, and you put it together. It would have space and holes in it, right? It would have air, right? So that would make it easier, I think, for it to fall apart. So liquid resin would go into those holes inside the box and then would hold the whole thing together, I think. But I am not really sure here. That's what I am assuming it is for.
I guess that's about it. Yeah, it's not that specific, but at least you have some general understanding of the function.
So, how are we gonna group it now?
I would. That's interesting. I saw one of the model answers at the back of Cambridge. That was a sample answer. It was like about like 6.5 band sample answer. But in the examiner's comments, you can see that the examiner, wanted the candidate to write out or explain that he sees the stages, and he lists about like 4 stages. Sometimes when you cannot really have like 2 main or 2 key stages, like to divide the process into 2 or 3 key stages, sometimes it's okay to just separately list the stages, even in the overview, like crushing, compressing, and molding. I would say these are the like 3 key stages: crushing, compressing, and molding, and then maybe adding liquid resin, like to make it, I don't know, like solid or in order to make it what? How do you? What would you say? Like the whole idea of the resin is to make it resistant, or what is it?
Hold the cube together, maybe.
Yeah, I'm looking at these things like why is liquid resin required for art? That gets very specific. I need very short and like dumbed down language. Resin is a durable and strong medium, leaving high gloss protective finish that allows for a variety of effects to be achieved. Oh, okay, so for painting over, I think it's for painting over. Like, so you can draw something or you can paint on it. All right, so we can. You don't have to be that like specific and clear, I think. Yeah. Oh, so we have. That's good. We have a response that we can maybe add and maybe pass some judgments. That's all we're good at, passing judgments. Oops. And now we can hopefully take something from that and use it in our own response, right? Ooh, I see a lot of. How many words do we have here, first of all? Yeah, word count is fine. So diagram illustrates, already see a spelling mistake, the process of how an artist creates G-cube sculptures by using plastic remains. How is the paraphrasing?
So two problems I'm seeing immediately is, first of all, you don't have to say process of how. You can just say how.
It's the whole thing. It's just another word. How can be replaced, right? Or how can replace the word process?
Yeah. So illustrates how an artist. Yeah. So
yes.
That would. So this is redundant.
What if you want to use the word process instead of how? Because we already have how.
Process.
We can say something like the process. The one thing that I noticed in Tahassoni's books, like I've looked at some of his process reports and learned a couple of things. Process through which, maybe?
Yeah.
And then I think it would just go from there, right? The diagram illustrates the process through which an artist creates, right?
Yeah.
G-cube sculptures by using plastic remains. Not sure about the word remain.
Yeah, that was the second thing I was going to mention.
Overall, it's clear that before presenting this artwork to the public, it demands. Demand is not the right word here. Maybe requires, if that's what you mean. Like 9 in words. Difference, spelling mistake. Stages is not the correct word here. So it's 9 steps, but we have fewer stages, right?
Yeah, again, this I think, should we go through this grammar like really quickly? This dangling kind of parts of, like, before presenting it. Subject doesn't match.
Sure. Yeah. That's good. So we have dangling modifier.
Yeah.
So we have before presenting. So usually we are, or the artist is the person who's presenting it. So we should start with the artist. But then you need to fix everything else, right?
Yeah.
If you want to stick to it, it requires 9 different steps. Then you need to change this part. Correct. Yeah. So it's clear that.
This is a really common problem because we recently with someone else sent an essay to the group. They also had this problem, and I'm looking at when I have some free time, I'm looking at the essays that students are writing, and this problem is really common. So I don't know, maybe should we go through it now?
Okay, so what? No, probably not now. Let's go ahead and break the news about this essay correction service that we're about to launch for this in the second half of this project. So if you want to book an individual session with Ildar, and maybe if I have time myself, but Ildar might be the right person here, since he's very passionate about pointing out and helping you with your essay. You could go ahead and write to us, let us know that you're interested in this service. If I'm not mistaken, at the beginning I said something about like each essay costing 100,000 Sums. You're paying for the time and effort of the person who's looking at your essay, and this is for just one task, not 2 tasks. So if you're not sure about booking the whole for two tasks, you can just book a session for just one of your tasks in one of your essays, and we'll go through, because task 1 and task 2 are separate like animals, so to speak. So but each require a different type of attention and working through. So it's important that we treat these 2 tasks separately, or treat them individually. So yeah, if you want to look at your task in detail with Ildar, you can book a session. This is 100,000 Sums per essay. What you will get is feedback, highlight. Ildar will highlight your common problems and show you how you can improve your response. Maybe he can even based on your response, he can maybe make this more of a band 7 or band 8 essay, if he can. So this will take about like an hour, I would say. Yeah. So we could do that, right? We don't have to do it right now. So this, as Ildar pointed out, is a very common problem. When you have, before presenting, you need to think about like who's presenting it. Definitely, it's not it, right? It is the whole process. So, but we have the artist presenting, so you just have to make sure these 2 match. So this is a very common, like this overview that we mentioned at the beginning, right, of the session. It just talks about those 9 steps. And it doesn't even mention the first and the last step. It just talks about the last step. The work is started. There are a lot of common grammar mistakes. By collecting plastic waste in a certain area, and then gathered materials are loaded to a car in order to deliver to the studio. All right, so there's not much use from looking at this particular essay. I don't really see that would be beneficial to other students. It's a common band, I'd say band 6 process. So if if you're interested in my quick, immediate feedback, I would say you need to work on your grammar, and it's about like band 6. So we can just get rid of it and try our own intro combined with the overview. Since you're already, I don't know if you're looking at it, so Ildar, if you can help me out, that would be great. So we have the diagram below shows how an artist uses plastic waste. Can we paraphrase plastic waste?
I'm not sure. We can, but we don't. We will not have a better version. So I think.
What about the word refuse?
I'm not sure.
Plastic refuse. Not sure though. Okay.
I've never heard it said. Plastic refuse.
Yeah. Plastic waste. Okay. The diagram below shows how an artist uses plastic waste to create G-cube, garbage cube. So we can just stick to garbage cube sculptures. All right. So you like the word picture then, right?
I mean, yeah, I like the word diagram, but if you want to use another word, that's the only alternative, I think.
Mm-hmm. Picture with process, it's okay to use the word illustrate, right, or depict, but I wouldn't really use these verbs for other types of graphs.
Yeah.
Oh, it's illustrates. So the picture illustrates. Then we can say the process. As I already mentioned, through which an artist maybe produces G-cube sculptures. So we have garbage cube. Or maybe you can say garbage cube sculptures.
Sculptures, the spelling mistake.
Yeah. Using plastic waste. Or maybe you can say artists produce garbage cube sculptures out of plastic waste. Shows the process through which an artist produces garbage cube sculptures out of plastic waste. Something like that. Right? And what was your overview like last time? So you started with an overview overall, or?
I said the whole process.
But we cannot really use this now because we don't really know the exact number of stages here, right?
Yeah. I think one like kind of what division that makes sense would be like saying 3 first, collecting and bringing the garbage, and then molding it into cubes, and then using those cubes to produce sculptures, right? I think if I were in an exam, that's what I would have gone with. So
you would say something like collecting garbage, molding it into blocks, right? And using those blocks to make the sculpture.
Yeah. Something like, it's going to be a little bit long in the overall. But I'm not. That's what I could come up with. Like
okay.
Right
now. Okay, something like I'm maybe I don't want to repeat the word process. So overall, it consists of 3 main stages, from collecting garbage maybe just collecting garbage, molding it to boxes of standard size, maybe, right? And making or creating sculpture, creating sculptures. From those boxes. Into, okay. So molding, yeah, so it's American spelling is without U, but it should be acceptable, both spellings. Overall, it consists of 3 main stages: collecting garbage, molding it into boxes of standard size, and creating sculptures out of those boxes. Maybe just we can always come back and fix the language, but overall, that's fine, I think. So does it mean we're going to have 3 body paragraphs? Maybe you can try that. What do you think?
Yeah, we're gonna have 3, and the thing is, we're gonna have to kind of artificially make the first body paragraph longer, just to make it look like
see, it doesn't really matter, but okay, we can try. So maybe we can say the first 2 steps take place outside the studio, right? Something like that, maybe. Because you can clearly see, right?
Yeah.
First, I have 2 first, but again, it's all right. Garbage is collected. Maybe you can say preferably on the seaside. What do you think? Or on the coast, or
yeah,
you can, because you can clearly see.
Yeah, I like this, but not. I wouldn't use the word preferably, but I don't know what other word I would use, because.
Usually,
mainly or something like that.
Okay, mainly on the seaside. Okay. Garbage is
collected from.
Okay. Garbage is collected from mainly from, right?
Mainly from the seaside.
Before, maybe, right? Being taken to a studio. Or we want to make it longer, so we need to explain the second step as well, like loaded into a truck and taken, right?
Yeah. We can say something like, here's what I noticed right now. So I was thinking how we could make it longer if you go back to the picture. So, yeah, you can see that in the first picture, he has 1 bag. In the second picture, in the backside of his truck, he has a lot of bags. So we can say something like, once enough garbage is collected, or something like that. So to make it longer, right?
Once he has like garbage, like a truck full of garbage or something. I don't know.
And I think wouldn't necessarily be a truck full. I mean, like.
Okay, yeah. I'm just playing with it, but he's also wearing a mask, if you want to mention that, and he's got this special stick that he can collect garbage, right?
Yeah. All right. So, what's another word for collect? Gather.
Collect, gather, yeah, or maybe, gather. Okay, so you're saying once enough garbage or enough waste, right, is gathered. Sure, okay. Not garnered, right?
No.
Gathered. It can be taken, right? It can be taken to a studio. Can we mention the truck?
Yeah. In a truck.
Can be taken in a truck, right? Or to a studio in a truck.
Truck, and if you could add something that would kind of connect it to the next.
Well, what would you say?
To the truck, to something like to be shaped into boxes or something like that.
Maybe something like it can be taken in a truck to a studio where it can be processed. Maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And two things to mention here. I think so. You were talking about having two firsts, right? So I think the first could be like initial two stages.
Yeah, the initial two stages. Yeah.
And then we did not say anything about plastic. Maybe we should say plastic garbage, because to make it clear, right?
And plus, we didn't also use the word studio before, so we have to say outside a studio, and then we can say the studio the second time we mention it, right?
Right.
The initial two steps take place outside a studio. First, garbage is collected mainly from the seaside, so plastic garbage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I think we've made it long enough. Right?
Okay, so maybe you can say it's loaded onto a truck. Onto a truck and taken to the studio where it can be processed.
Okay.
So we have enough words, you know. We got about 80. So just maybe how many more? 70 more, but okay. All right. So now everything else now takes place inside the studio, maybe except for the art gallery, right? So we would start. So it's about molding, crushing, compressing, molding, right? Maybe just three. Yeah. Crushing, compressing, molding, and then maybe adding liquid resin, right?
Yeah, I think crushing and compressing can be said in one sentence. Yeah. So.
Okay. Using an electrical, what would you say, electrical crusher here? Or can be crushed? Well, how would you add this electrical? Because you know you have, I know you have a way of kind of adding those things.
Look, I'm looking at it right now, and I'm thinking, is that a hydraulic press? That's what I'm thinking, because.
Okay.
Can you Google hydraulic press, because hydraulic press looks very much like that.
Could be.
You see, it also has this electric thing with it.
Yeah, could be. Could be.
Yeah.
All right. You want to add that?
I'm still not sure if it's a hydraulic press or not. Maybe we just say crushed. You can't expect everyone to know like the names of every equipment, every piece of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Teacher, I have a question right now about.
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead.
You write. Can you please show me the essay that you're writing right now?
Mm-hmm.
Once enough waste is gathered, you wrote, but in.
Mm-hmm. What's the question? Maybe you can just type your question in the chat. Oh, I like that. Powered by electricity. Yeah. Sorry, I'm eating something, but I got hungry, so I'm just eating M&Ms.
Yeah.
Okay. Not that big. I think we lost you or something happened. I don't know. We could like something like once in the studio, right?
I
how would you start
this. Okay, so whenever I do this, so you can see it in my the previous one also. I like to refer back to the introduction. So I would say in the exam I would say something like the molding stage starts with something. Right?
Okay, I like it. I like that system. Molding stage starts when, right?
When or starts with doing something.
Yeah. When the garbage or collected garbage, right?
Yeah.
Is crushed. How do you again add this electric powered by or
by I mean the simplest version would be by a special piece of equipment or with a special piece of equipment, or if you want to be clearer, would be electrically powered crusher.
Using, right?
Using,
or with an electrically powered crusher.
I just wanna mention here that if I were in an exam, I would definitely write hydraulic press, but for the sake of being completely clear, I'm not gonna recommend using that here. Because
it's okay.
You can. So if I'm in an exam, that's my own risk, right? But here for students. Box.
Into a box. Sized, okay. 50 centimeter by 50 centimeter. You said something like that, right? Can we say it's a cube? Cube,
yes.
Cubic box, maybe?
Yeah.
Cubic box size 50 centimeter by 50 centimeters.
So if you wanna, so mathematically speaking, you have to write 53 times. 50 by 50 by 50.
No, come on. I don't want to be. I respect mathematics. I was in the Olympiad, subject Olympiads at that school, but I understand what you're saying, but come on, man. They got 250 centimeters here. The examiner wouldn't really understand it anyway.
All right. All right. Again, I would write 350. I mean,
In the exam, right?
yeah, in the exam, yeah. I don't care. I don't care if they give me a low score. I like to be right.
The cubic box size 50 by 50. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I think it's fine. Okay. What is another word for then? Like following this, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can say the compressed plastic waste can be molded, right? Or is molded.
I think we used the mold as a verb a couple of times.
Yeah. Just put in a mold.
Yeah.
Mold containing cubic boxes of the same size, maybe, right? We already mentioned.
Okay.
And then we have on a separate, like in a separate place, we have liquid resin being prepared, right? Being heated.
So do we have? So they don't mention it as a separate stage. So we could just say liquid resin heated to 150 degrees Celsius
is added. Okay.
Yeah.
In the next step, or in the next stage, can we say stage? I think it makes more sense to say.
Step is better because
okay,
every paragraph is a stage here. So
the next step, a liquid resin heated to 150 degrees. Is it centigrade, as you put?
Yeah, centigrade or Celsius, doesn't matter.
Both?
Yeah,
both are okay?
They are synonyms.
No, so it's heated to 150 degrees centigrade is added in order to, well, what is it, like? So we can say in order to achieve, I read something about like to achieve this whatever. So a smoother. What did you say? So that it could be it could be held together or something, right? You said so that it could be held together.
Yeah.
So the whole thing could be held together, right? You said something like that.
Yes.
Liquid resin heated to 150 degrees centigrade is added in order to. Okay. Okay, so let's say so that the garbage.
If you want to be a little, if you want to be to avoid mistakes and be more general, maybe say something like in order to strengthen it, right? Because strengthen could be interpreted in many ways. So
yeah, I like it. Or to strengthen it. Okay. Okay, and then we can say afterwards, it's left to be cooled, right? Cooled down for 24 hours. Maybe you can say I don't know Why they don't like this afterwards?
I don't know.
Is it not considered the correct word according to Grammarly? The resulting what is how can we say it's not a substance? It's not a mixture, so to speak. It can be mixture though, right?
We can just say it. It is left to cool.
I just keep using it over and over.
So the resulting would not really be a good word.
Mm-hmm. Then what is?
I am not sure. the mold, again, we used the mold 100 times already.
Mm-hmm. The boxes, maybe.
Yeah.
Should be left 24 hours to be to cool down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we can now make it a separate paragraph, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? The last one was about what, according to your introduction? Creating sculptures?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's good.
You can see that like it's pulled up, right? It's pulled up like straight.
Yeah.
In order not to damage it or something.
Yeah, it's yeah, I did not notice that, but it's good that you didn't use the cool in past participle version, because in the next paragraph we could start after they are cooled. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they are removed from the mold after the.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you can say once they are cooled, right?
Yeah, once.
Maybe once cooled.
Once cooled.
The boxes, right, can be.
Would be. I think.
Okay. Yeah, I keep saying can be. Are carefully, maybe, right? Removed from the molds. Before an artist. What did you say? Like arrange them?
Okay, maybe here first you should say turns them into a sculpture, and then in the separate paragraph you can say arrange. Because
before
being turned into. Now here, just if you can stop for 10 seconds. Now this is the correct way, right? Of not making it kind of dangled, because like
so we have once cooled, the boxes being turned down, turned into
the boxes. The subject.
Everything is about boxes here.
Yeah, the subject of the first side and the second side is the same, and this is the correct way of doing it. Now, and then sculptures, and then.
So we can say, at this stage, right?
Yeah, at this stage.
An artist. Now we have to use. An artist can arrange the boxes.
Arranges. Why can?
I don't know. Maybe now can is okay for this specific stage because he can arrange the boxes in different ways.
Arranges the boxes in different formations, maybe.
I'm gonna stick to can. Come on, man, just give me a break here. Can arrange the boxes in different you're saying in different formations?
Yeah. Because you see that the formations are different.
Maybe different patterns or formations is okay?
Yeah, affirmation was the first word that came to my mind somehow. What do you think? Can we say installations here? Because that's definitely... No, I mean, instead of sculptures. No, in different...
Really? Here, maybe?
No. In this
the whole
sentence,
essay?
No.
Yeah. In this sentence.
In this sentence, you have to repeat the word sculpture, right? Because an artist can arrange the boxes in different patterns to turn them into sculptures, or to
I was going to say to turn them into an art or something.
Yeah, okay.
Which can be...
Well, into works of art, maybe.
Yeah. Let's make them into works of art. That can be maybe, and then you can say installed in art galleries. Maybe in an art gallery.
For public viewing?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I liked it. I really liked it.
Yeah, me too, for some reason. That's just, it's like perfect. It's 200 words. It's a combination of our, like, both of our brains. And
would you say this is like closer to Band 9?
Could be. Definitely an 8.5, though. Definitely an 8.5. Because I'm sure we hit like 9s in at least 2 of the sections of the criteria.
Like,
I don't know which.
In terms of grouping, I was not sure in the beginning, but this turned out really well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because Cambridge wanted us to separately, describe these 2 steps, and then I was gonna go for crushing, compressing, molding, but you put them together as molding, which kind of made sense. And then the next stage was about forming the sculpture. Yeah.
Yeah. This is really good. This is higher than 8, at least.
Definitely higher than 8. Yeah, definitely higher than 8. Unless we have someone else basically saying, or maybe begging to differ. Starts from putting the raw material into a crusher powered by electricity. Okay, so this goes back. This goes way back. Okay. Yeah, I actually like both. I know, honestly, I cannot, produce the same level of writing in the actual test. Well, I couldn't so far, but I'm not sure. Maybe in the exam, if I can get the same process, right? Yeah. How would you feel if you get the same process in your real exam?
I think that, like, so this...
I would be too excited. I would be too excited and probably get carried away.
Yeah.
And I would waste a lot of time remembering everything that we talked about.
I would try to make it even better, because like I have this version of it in my head, and so I don't think it's better for me to have something that I've never seen before rather than something that I have actually done. Because
the same happens with the reading passages. You get too excited and you can't handle the excitement. Yeah, I liked it. This was a very productive lesson. We looked at 2 different tasks. I think tomorrow we're still having the lesson, but now we can move on to task 2 safely, so that we can, finish this whole online project. Not maybe on like time, but at least if we can do it like 3 times a week, We can hopefully finish it by the end of July. Right? So if you guys have questions, you can let us know in the chat. Just go ahead and I'm going to finish recording.